The Temple of Sea and Fire is beside the ocean. Ghostly white and rising like coral where the rocks meet the waves, the priestesses appear to be cleaning today. There's rugs being beat and water moved by strange deep folk magic to wash the white facade clean. Croia was nervous. She didn't know why exactly she was so nervous. The entire time she had been in this strange land, she had simply pushed on, not letting her emotions get the better of her. Other than her annoyance at Riley a few times, but not her nerves, yet stepping up to this temple she was almost scared. Scared of the answers she may receive. "I have been told you are healers, yes?" she greeted, a soft smile on her face, but the quirk of her brow gave away her unease. "I have questions to ask. Thank you, and please." The healers were a mix of roan, draped in a deep brown and vibrant red, and deep folk bathed in blue sea silks. "Yes, we are healers. Do you need healing?" They gestured for her to come inside the temple. Croia took a deep breath and followed. "Yes, I am having trouble in head. There was accident. I have lost magic and have pain in head," she explained, unable to truly explain the extent of the damage she knew had been done. How does one explain what she had been through? The healers nodded and glanced between themselves. "Well, we can try to help." The group looked among themselves, and then, slowly, one of the deep folk came to the fore, with a beautiful woman with 9 long blue tentacles, and her hair in an immaculate updo. Croia recognized her. How could she not? Tsubaki was the quiet force that had kept them alive, but she was different this time. Aquatic. "What happened to make you lose magic?" she asked gently, and gestured to a glowing pool in the center of the building. Croia had to blink several times. She recognized the woman before her. Tsubaki had saved her friends and herself many times. How could she not recognize her? The tentacles were new, but that did not change the care she held for her friend. Even in a life that she would not recognize Croia in. It was taken. It was very hard to explain, but it was a choice I made, to allow it stolen for safety of friends. I am thinking when it was taken, damage was done to head, she explained as she followed the woman. Tsubaki watched her and then nodded her head lightly. "Step into the pool, and I will attempt to help you," she murmured. Croia did as she was instructed, entering the pool slowly. It had been some time since she had been this nervous, but she refused to allow herself the what-if of it all. Tsubaki gently entered the pool behind her, and it pulsed to acknowledge them there. "Tell me about what the moment meant to you," she murmured, and watched the bugbear raise the water level until it spilled out into the channels that took it back to the sea. "It was like losing old friend," she explained, unsure how much detail she was meant to tell, but careful not to speak on specifics. "Like losing limb in ways, leaving a big hole in place there had not been one. There was an emptiness where her magic had once been, and it ached constantly." "That does sound traumatic." Tsubaki sat across from her and just watched her. "Tell me about it. How did you lose it?" Croia took a breath and had to think for a long few moments. She hadn't known a lot about the device that had taken her magic, only that it had taken what was left of the goddess out of her, but seemed to have taken everything else she had as well. "It is very hard to explain. Best word I can think of is it was siphoned. I had a bad energy with it, and it was supposed to be removing that, but removed everything." She tried her best to make the entire situation make sense, but it was difficult for her to even fully wrap her head around. Tsubaki nodded softly, and the water pulsed and moved gently against her. A siphoning strong enough to take someone's magic is a very traumatic experience. Croia nodded. She understood the implication. Deep down she knew what it was, but that did not stop her from being desperately drawn to a healer. Anything to fix this problem. "It was, and I am believing it left physical damage as well. Please," she requested of Tsubaki, truly unsure of what else she could do to heal this void. "I will do what I can, but..." Tsubaki was gentle with her words, intentional as she always was. "I believe what you've suffered may not be a physical wound as much as a psychological one. I believe the magic is gone and that it was forcibly taken, and that was a violation. But I'm not sure it is one we can heal. She paused and then folded her hands as she did in every echo in front of her under her sleeves. I will be with you as long as you wish, however. Not all healing is magical. The most powerful kind simply happens by being heard and believed. Croia shook her head, running a hand through her hair as she worried her bottom lip. I do not believe you are understanding. I have to be healed. I must do something very important, and I do not know how to do it if I am not healed. I do not need my magic back. It is gone, but this hole, I cannot live with this. She tugged at the base of her hair softly, shutting her eyes tightly. I am strong. I must be strong. People will die if I am not. Taking a deep breath and opening her eyes again, Croia looked to Tsubaki. Please, do what you can. Tsubaki reached out and took both of her hands and held them in her own. I believe you, she said softly, and then the healing water moved over Croia. It moved to cover all but what she needed to breathe, and after a few pulsating moments where the sea seemed to sing, it receded. Croia closed her eyes as she silently begged for this to be the solution, for the emptiness in her soul to be filled. She knew deep down that it would not, but that did not stop the hope. When the waters receded, she sighed and looked at her hands. I believed I could live with what would happen when I gave my magic, but I do not think I understood how much it would hurt. She shook her head, taking a deep breath before she let Tsubaki's gaze. Thank you for trying. Tsubaki held her hands and would not let go until Croia did first. Her goddess would not let go of an embrace first, and neither would her highest priestess. I am still here. When you want to talk or need to cry, I will always be here. Thank you, truly. Croia smiled somberly, nodding softly as she tried to process through the knowledge that this was a problem she would have to fix herself. You are very kind. I am not, but I try every day to be the woman I want to be and not the woman I was. Tsubaki smiled. And you can too. Croia nodded again. I will try. Thank you. She responded simply, wringing out her hair before stepping out of the pool. She had a lot to think about.